Whoa! Hold your horses on the IndyCar and Porsche hype train because a Racer.com article which dropped just about an hour after I got my video talking about the Adam Stern tweet out, this article by Marshall Pruitt at Racer.com has kind of changed the game. Yes, this article confirms what Adam Stern had been reporting, that IndyCar and Porsche were in talks for the manufacturer to join IndyCar in the year 2021. But what Marshall's article did was say that yes, the talks had broken down. And that was something that Adam Stern, in his tweets and in his article for the SBJ, had left open the possibility that the talks could break down at any moment. That wasn't really a surprise. The talks, apparently, according to the Racer article, began in Daytona at the Rolex 24 in January and carried on all the way up until just a couple of weeks ago at the Long Beach Grand Prix, where IndyCar received a message from Porsche, thanks but no thanks, we're not interested. That's the confirmed information we have. But a line of this article, which I really want to touch on, concerns me quite a bit when talking about why Porsche might have decided that this wasn't for them. Now, there doesn't appear to be quotes to back this up, so I have to assume that this is Marshall Pruitt speculating. Certainly, I think this information seems very plausible based on what we know, but again, I'm liable to believe that this is speculation based on how it was worded, but it certainly concerns me. Here's the quote. With electrification at the core of Porsche's current and future racing strategies, its need for a hybrid electric solution to be included in IndyCar's next-generation powertrain rules, and the present lack of options in that regard with IndyCar's 2021 to 2016, I'm guessing this is 2026, regulations, could have been a factor in its decision to remain focused on Formula E rather than IndyCar. And here's the real core of why that concerns me. Boy, do we really think, does IndyCar really believe that they are in a position that they can be turning away manufacturers at the door? Is the series really that healthy at this point? Was there not a compromise that could have been reached to bring a manufacturer which would have had the impact that Porsche would have on the series? Was there nothing that could have been done to bring them in? I don't want to make this sound too demanding, but boy, they better have this third manufacturer that has been rumored already committed. Because if you had a third manufacturer on the line and you turn them away, it's not a good look, especially when it's as big as Porsche. It's not like a Lotus situation where maybe you're turning them away and saying, look, you're probably not going to do a good enough job. You're probably going to make our series look bad. Thanks, but no thanks. This, and again, if this is true, even the thing that I speculated in that video where I talked just kind of in general, which German manufacturer could be the one looking to get an IndyCar, I was like, well, there's not really any electric options here for Porsche. There's no hybrid option available, and certainly you can't just bring an electric engine to IndyCar racing. So I didn't see where Porsche could really fit in. And so it makes sense that Porsche felt the same way, and IndyCar wanted to stick to their guns. Is it a great decision? I don't think it's a great decision if it's true. Again, the thing that really upsets me about this is, yes, I'm aware of all of the arguments against hybrids, and certainly there are many, and we'll get into them in just a second. But I really wish there'd been some sort of a compromise, some sort of an equivalency formula. I hesitate to say BOP because I think that would be the wrong solution, and I don't think that's what anybody wants. But there had to have been some way that maybe you could have allowed Porsche to build some sort of an engine with some sort of electrification to satisfy their marketing needs, to satisfy some of the bigger cheeses in the company, to convince them to bring this budget to run IndyCar racing. Now, a full-blown hybrid, I understand the arguments against it, and there are really three tiers that are against it. You've got the fan arguments against it, you've got the manufacturer arguments against it, and you've got the team arguments against it. Fans, it's pretty simple and straightforward. A lot of times when you've got electrification in any sort of an engine, it will make it quieter, make it less spectacular to listen to, while the performance may be significantly higher, like we've seen in the World Endurance Championship. The cars aren't particularly the most sexy sounding in the entire world. They don't sound like V12s, and they don't sound like V10s. Formula One is the exact same thing. Fans are kind of uninspired by the turbo hybrid V6s. That's just a fact of the matter. It's just not something that's as popular with fans. And IndyCar's whole mantra recently has been like trying to attract some of those fans who might be turned off by the hybridization in Formula One or the hybridization in WEC, and they want to be fast and loud. I understand that from a marketing perspective. I also understand the team argument, contrary to what I've been saying about the 25 and 8 rule. Hybrid technology, of course, is more advanced technology. It's something that you would probably need to bring in a specialist engineer. That's an extra person you need to hire for a year. The technology itself is going to be more expensive, in addition to the fact that you're going to have to buy brand new engines and pay to engineer those new parts to your car. I understand that there's a higher cost part to this. And then from a manufacturer perspective, I also understand it. If you're Honda, you're Chevrolet, and you've committed to this series for well over 10 years. In fact, Honda's been committed since 1994. And I can tell you there are not many manufacturers in racing, period, that stay committed to a series that long. You don't want to upset those manufacturers by completely changing everything at the last minute just because you've got Porsche on the line and then pissing off Honda so much that they leave. I understand those arguments. Totally understand them. And that's why this is a slippery slope. That being said, what concerns me about this, there's a couple of things that concern me about this. Number one is that Porsche would have been such a significant get for the series in terms of exposure, in terms of marketing, in terms of fans. It's certainly not worth the sacrifice of Chevy or Honda or a mystery third manufacturer. If there's three, absolutely you don't want to sacrifice them. If there's two, you still don't want to sacrifice them for Porsche. But surely there could have been something done to please all involved. Unless Porsche was truly trying to come in and dictate their way of doing things on IndyCar, and IndyCar was just like, we can't do this. I would understand that, but I have to say that I don't think negotiations would have gone on for that many months if Porsche was just coming in thinking they were going to take over the series and dictate it. I really do think that there was probably negotiating room. I would be surprised if Porsche didn't find any value in the series, value to be here, value to participate in the Indy 500 and the Long Beach Grand Prix and all of it. And if you have to, this is the problem. This is my main gripe, is I think the rules are too restrictive. I mean, ultimately that's what it is. The current IndyCar formula, the twin turbocharged V6 motors. Well, the V6 motors, they actually weren't always twin turbocharged, but this formula has gone on, or will have gone on in 2021 for 10 consecutive seasons. That's great consistency. That's great for the current partners. That's great for the teams. They know what they're doing. They know pretty much what their costs are going to be per season. Here's the problem. When you're trying to attract new manufacturers, having that long of a development cycle means that the windows to enter the series are very narrow, and then once they close and manufacturers like Chevy and Honda have had enough development time to really, perfect their engines or get them so performing at a level that would take Porsche nearly, half a decade to actually get back up to their level. And by the time that happens, the end of a cycle has come and there's a whole brand new formula. It's almost like these development cycles are so long that it's not very conducive for manufacturers who are forward thinking. And I think this electrification thing is going to end up being a bigger issue down the line for IndyCar than we're kind of giving it credit for right now. I mean, think of every argument in favor of Formula E. It always ends with Formula E is the future. The manufacturers are going there because that's where the market is headed. That's where the engineering is headed. That's where road cars are headed. And it disappoints me because IndyCar racing was essentially started on the principle that, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway was the proving ground for the automotive industry. And now they're running with dinosaur technology. And here's my argument for that. If you really want to run dinosaur technology, why not do truly crowd-pleasing stuff and run turbocharged 2.65 liter V8s or V10s or V12s? If you're really just going for fast and loud, make it truly spectacular. If you're going for road relevancy, you might want to consider at least finding some way of bringing hybrid engines in. Even if they compete on a level playing field with the manufacturers who don't want to build a hybrid, if you have to BOP them, do it. But I think that technology should be at the Indianapolis 500. It should be an IndyCar. And it's disappointing, severely disappointing, if IndyCar turned Porsche away because of hybrids. So that's my thoughts on this. Obviously, we've got more manufacturer talk to come. I keep hearing Alfa Romeo instead of BMW. We'll have to see how that goes. It's just a rumor, so we'll see. So thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe for more IndyCar, Indy 500, and motorsport content. This has been David Land on YouTube, and I'll see you in the next video.